That'd be nice.
Welcome once again to another edition of Two Old Goats. I am Pat, Patriot Pat _1776 on Twitter and Instagram. And next to me is my co-host Bryan J. Baby on Twitter. And with us, we normally do a comedian or a wrestler. You're in for a treat tonight because we have a comedian and a wrestler, but not a professional wrestler. He's the one that does the real one. Anyway, this is my good friend, one of my best buds in the whole world. I love this guy like a brother, my slightly special brother. But give it up for one of the greatest guys I know, Sean Shank. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, Pat, and back at you, man.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm very happy to be here, man. It's I was worried about content. I was like, oh, can I say the dirty words? And then I saw your intro with a goat mounting the other goat, and I was like, oh, nope, we're fine.
No. This is no holds barred. Yeah, you can motherfuck up and down the road.
Oh, good, because that's what I do. That's like my hobby, motherfucking up and down the road.
Yeah, after a long day. Oh, go ahead, Bryan.
You need an adult beverage? Feel free. I mean, glass of whiskey, whatever.
Oh no, I've got my kidney killer right here.
No, I mean I meant Diet Dr. Pepper here.
Okay. Did you hear there was a rumor that they were going to discontinue the Dr. Peppers?
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was all over the place, and I've been seeing a lot of vitriol all over the social media that people are freaking out about it. So the Dr. Pepper folks released the thing, said, no, we're gonna be fine.
I was gonna say that would kill me.
We're going down to 21 flavors.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that prunes, that's one of the flavors where they get the DP from?
Shit, I don't know. It's like the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices.
I don't know, but I've not seen any difference in what prunes do. I mean, they could be, but I see no difference.
Okay. Just as regular with or without the good doctor's help.
Sorry to. I'm sure you guys have things you want to talk about, but
no, this is pretty much going to be the next hour. So like I said, not deep at all. No, we actually do have some questions. You want to start, Bryan, or you want me to?
Sure. So Pat says you're a comedian. I assume that you've done some traveling in your day. Where's one place that you've been, either wrestling or that you like the food in this like city or whatever? What's one place that you want to tell people about that you'd say, hey, if you're going here, you got to eat at this place?
Oh geez. You're talking to a fat kid, so that's because I have a lot to select from. But I will tell you that that's okay. So through stand-up and wrestling, I've traveled most of the contiguous United States, and I've traveled around the world for comedy. So first of all, my suggestion is no matter where you go, always ask the locals what the best thing locally is to eat that you can't get other places.
I agree.
Okay. So it could be a restaurant, could be whatever. And when I went down to the Bahamas recently, I'm
sorry, the what?
The Bahamas.
The Bahamas?
Yes, I prefer the long A over the top. That's how I say it. Anyway.
Okay.
So when I went down to the Bahamas, I approached one of the locals at a shop that had some beautiful knockoff jewelry and things. And I asked them, what some good places to eat, and they said, oh, you could go to this, there's a Starbucks here. And I said, look, I am not, their word, the derogatory slang for gentlemen of our disposition is conky Joes. I said, I am no regular conky Joe, which of course they laughed at. I said, what is something that you guys eat down here? And they said, oh, you want to get guava duff. And I said, well, what's guava duff? And it's like a bready, it's like a baked good, but it's also like kind of a cake, and this kind of amalgamation of a bunch of different things that has fruit in it. And so I said, cool. So I started approaching the locals, and apparently it's a very special deal down there. And some of the ones I approached, they said, look, if you can find it, you let me know. And I was down there for 2 weeks doing Joker's Wild at the Atlantis. And finally, after the first week, I found 2 different people to get us guava duff. And we got 2 different versions of it. And it was heavenly. It was heavenly. But the thing is, getting it was really problematic. So, if you ever go down there and can get that stuff, man, I can't recommend it enough. It's like the people that go to what's that big town in Oregon? The
Portland,
yeah, and the Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah. So you go there to Voodoo Donuts, right? And people travel from hundreds of miles around to go get that stuff. Man, this is the same deal. Like it's just beyond good. So yeah, that I think of all the places. And there's also another spot in Omaha, Nebraska called Jams. Holy shit, guys. All right. So Jams is just like this very like high-end hole in the wall where you walk in and it's L-shaped. And the hey, Pat, you remember the French guy that works at the comedy club?
Yeah.
And Alex, and beautiful human being, but very snooty Frenchman.
Yeah.
He gives no fucks. All right. And that's why I love him.
Yeah.
So the chefs at Jams are a lot like that, where they're just like, we are making what we are making this week, and that is what you have. And they don't care. Everything they make is like God's own cook made it. So yeah, a huge fan. In New York, Vinny's in Greenwich. Holy shit, some of the best pizza you'll ever have. New Jersey. Oh my God. Johnny D's Pizza. Dude, I had pizza there. I was just doing shows in Atlantic City. Guys, all right, you see the size of my face? This pizza was this, it was massive. It was like, if you folded up the sides of it, it could make a box. It was huge and fantastic.
I worked
food because I could go on for hours.
I worked at a pizzeria in New Jersey when I lived there as a teenager, and yeah, I could attest that the slice, you get a slice and you could like triple fold it, and it's as big as like after folding it 3 times, it's as big as like a Papa John's slice, and yeah, so good. I'm lactose intolerant now, but my wife and I were talking about doing a big road trip to hit New Jersey and come back, and I was like, I don't care if we have to get separate hotel rooms. I'm getting some, and the old pizzeria I used to work at is still there, so I'm like, I am getting some Finizio's pizza when I go out there.
You should definitely.
I'll sleep in the car. I don't care.
Yeah. So Pat, where would you tell him to go if he's been to your place in Indiana?
No, this is in New Jersey. When I live there, but yeah, it's Finizio's Pizza. The one that I worked at is closed down, but the main one, which is in now I can't even remember the name of the town. But yeah, Finizio's is freaking killer. And the one thing you were saying about the local thing, because both Bryan and I are in KC, and if people ask what's the best barbecue to get in KC, I always tell people, if you go to a place and it looks like it's going to fail a health inspection, get 2 orders.
If it's in a gas station, go.
Yeah,
Definitely go
Joe's.
Joe's
Well-
started. So Joe's KC started out as Oklahoma Joe's, but it was in a gas station, like an addition. Like you have the gas
Mhm.
station and then the little
Yeah.
restaurant. That's what it was, and it became so big they have a second branch, and it's just absolutely huge.
Just back, yeah.
Some of the best barbecue, not the best in Kansas City, but it's really, really good.
But top 5.
Yeah, top 5 for sure.
Nice.
So I don't know where you are, but like,
I am in
United.
Edwardsburg, Michigan. That's
In
where I'm at.
Michigan.
And,
Okay.
yeah, the only thing I've got up here that I could say is even noteworthy. Well, actually, no. Let me reel back on that because I was going to say our local Greasy Spoon Spices,
Mhm.
which has nothing that's spicy, so to speak. But there is a place called Divine Donuts. They have I thought and Pat knows this brand name, Rise and Roll.
Yeah.
I thought Rise and Roll were the best donuts in this country until I tasted Divine Donuts. And I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever had better. Ever.
Wow.
It's
So
just stunning.
where are you in relation to Detroit? Are you anywhere near there?
So if Detroit is about here, I am right there.
Right on the border of Indiana.
Yeah.
So the week of Valentine's Day, I actually had to work in Detroit. Getting there was a story and a half, but I stayed in. It was actually Wixom, which is 30 miles northwest of there.
Yeah, near Buxom.
Near Buxom, yeah. They're all
south of Flotsam.
They're all Exums there, Pat. If you didn't know, but I did eat. It was the first time I had Detroit style pizza in Detroit, if you call it, because like St. Louis style pizza is, its own thing.
Yes.
Whenever Pizza Hut would have the Detroit style, once in a while I'd get it, and it was really pretty good.
Is that the one where they put the sauce on top?
No, this is it's a little bit thicker crust, and like there's cheese that goes all the way to the outside.
Comes up the sides, and
the cheese comes up the sides, and it's
okay.
Absolutely, it's one of my favorite pizzas now. There was a place called Jets.
Dude, yes.
We have
Jets. Yes, we do have Jets up here.
I would eat Jets every day for lunch. I'd go in, they'd have a 2-slice special. I'd go in there, it was like $5.80 for 2 slices.
Yep.
Shit.
That's where my money went. Yeah, because if you go here and you get like a couple of hot dogs from Quick Trip, it's $4.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd rather have those couple of slices of pizza, and so I didn't really know a whole lot to eat. And in Wixom, it's kind of smaller, so I just pretty much ate Jets for lunch.
Man, don't blame me. Jets is a solid pizza, man. I mean, that crust, the way that cheese caramelizes up the side, you can't go wrong. I mean,
because it's in Mishawaka, South Bend area, and our buddy Mike used to get it all the time.
Oh, that's
and I remember he gave me a slice of it, and I didn't know that was Detroit pizza.
Mm-hmm.
They were from Detroit or whatever, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Shit's good.
Yeah, so good.
You know what? I've changed my song in honor of Mikey.
Okay. Mike is a comedian.
It's not gonna be a super deep cut. Don't worry.
Oh God, Mike is a comedian friend of ours who sadly passed away 3-4 years ago. Passed away suddenly. So we kind of remember him whenever we can. He was just one of those big old teddy bear guys that you could shirt off his back, and then you wouldn't want to see him topless, so you'd give it back to him.
Yeah,
but yeah, sweetheart.
Yeah, but God, he was one of those guys that on stage he just never got it. Like, he was funny for the most part, but Mike had this real desire to do material that spoke to not just the primary demographic for comedy clubs is 25 to 55-year-old white females. Okay, that's just a statistic that exists in the world, right? but he wanted to be able to perform in front of like I did with Def Jam crowds and stuff like that. And Pat was very good to perform in crowds outside of his demographic playlist because Pat's just such a sweetheart. And, you folks would say Pat just keeps it real, right? Because he's just genuine. Yeah. Mike, on the other hand, and you know what story I'm going to tell, don't you?
I have two in mind, so yeah.
Okay, so we were having a show at this place called Trios, and it had turned into Vegetable Buddies. That was like the next iteration, and we were back in this banquet room, and Pat had set up a show for his work, and like he did a great job setting this thing up. I mean, a bunch of people came out, and I went up. I can't remember, it was like second or third, and Pat was going to headline the show. And I had done some shows with Def Jam. Okay, so I was comfortable and used to playing urban crowds and doing material that just worked in front of everybody. And I had been doing I was telling my Def Jam stories, and there was a Cuban kid in the room that I'd even called him Elian Gonzalez at one point. And he was loving it. He was like, you remember, he was loving it. Like his whole family there, they were laughing their asses off. And
that was one of my boys too. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but see, Mike is watching this, and in his brain, he's concocting like, I am going to speak to the minorities as well. So,
oh no,
Mike, exactly. You already know. So Mike gets up on stage, and we are all sitting over at the comics table, and Mike is about, 5 minutes into his set, and he's doing okay. And then this massive, and I mean big, I'm a big dude, all right? I'm like 255, about 6 feet, all right? I'm a sizable guy. This guy is one, when he walks in the room, I just be like, well, shit, if he gets angry, I'm going to have to pack a lunch. You know what I mean? Like one of those dudes. But
yeah, this dude, 6'4", 260, 270, easy. And not like muscular, just fucking brick shit, just big. But yeah, he's taller than me.
Big dude.
And the thing is, and Pat told us this later, and I know this is a fact because of how he responded, not reacted, responded to what Mike said. One of the nicest guys. Okay, so he comes in halfway into the show, and he's at the table paying money to see us. And Mike looks over and goes, wow, way to keep the stereotype alive. Fully believing that he is like doing edgy material for an urban audience. And everybody in the room went, huh?
Yeah, the air just, Sean and I in the back.
What the hell's going on?
We were, and actually even Brad was with us, and Brad is another one of the Comedy Deli folks. And Brad, is when you talk about Christian individuals that really try to live the mantra of red letter Christian life and being kind and forgiving, Brad is it. But at that moment, he even looked at us and said, if this guy tries to kick Mike's ass, I'm not stepping in. I'm not going to stop.
I forgot about that.
But this guy
nope.
Yeah, but this guy was so kind. He just kind of shook his head, still paid his money, and came in and sat down. And then afterwards, Mike was like, I just don't get it. Sean was up there doing his stuff, and he called that kid Elian Gonzalez. Why? And I said, Mike, it's because it doesn't sound like it's an attack. What are you doing?
Dude just walked in. The first thing he hears is from this big white dude is, oh, you keeping the stereotype alive. Oh yeah. My asshole fell out my pants. I was
so going with that story, one time, this is years ago, my wife and I won tickets to go see DL Hughley.
Oh yeah, I know DL.
Nice.
So we saw DL downtown at the Comedy Club, and we walked in, and I look around before the show, and we are 2 of 6 white people in the crowd.
Yep.
Now, the tickets that I won, they were not in the back. These tickets were about 3rd row. and we were the closest white people to him. And you guys know how the lights work. You can see the first couple of rows. After that,
Yep.
Well, he could see us, and
It
so
stood
all
out.
night he would tell jokes, and he would play off of us, and we loved D.L. Hughley. This is back when his show was pretty big.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah.
so, we loved him, and we were laughing and having a good time, and everybody's laughing at us, laughing with us, and like I was getting nudges from the guy next to me, and just like, and then like people pointing and all that, and at one point he's like, he'd tell a joke. Well, we'd laugh at the joke, and then he'd look down at us. He's like, "Did you white people get that?" And we're like, "Yes, we did." And he was great. After the show, we kind of we stood up, and it was kind of crowded, so we let people get out, and we were probably two of the last like 10 people to leave the theater. And he came down to us, shook our hands, and said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Thank you for just interacting."
Yep.
And I was like, "Man, it's comedy, and to me that's what it is." And that sounds like what you were doing, and it kind of brings back that whole, playing off each other, and it's just hilarious to be involved on that side of it, because I seen what your Ilion saw. It's fun to interact in a good way,
Well, okay, so hearkening back to Mike again, in this is one where, because he was my dear friend, I had to let what happened slide. So I had been hired for 4 years straight to headline a comedy show for a school system up in Michigan. And what the deal was is the incoming freshman class had basically like an assembly. Okay.
Sure.
Oh, excuse me. And for the 1 year, they're like, we should bring in a comic to entertain these guys. So I came in with, and Pat, I don't remember if you did that with me or not.
I did it the year before you did it with Mike.
Year before with Mike. Okay. So you remember what it was like? It was like about 170, anywhere from 120, 170 freshmen. And you would think it was like a nightmare, but actually it went great every year. It was always fun. The kids were fantastic. It was a lot of crowd work, but it always ended up being a lot of fun. And so the last year that we did it, Mike went out there, and Mike had to have a message, and he wanted to speak to the kids, and he wanted to, for some reason, he wanted to talk to kids about the importance of being safe while dating at their age. And so he's out there doing his stand-up, and I mean, it's going okay to what I remember. And then all of a sudden he's talking about, so you guys are, you're at the age of dating out here. And so where are all the cheerleaders at? And it just hangs over the audience. And our friend Jay Boggs was with me backstage, and we look at each other and went, "What the fuck?"
You're like, "Oh shit."
And he's like, "Oh, no. I wanted to talk to you about, well, where are all the boys that are dating?" And if everybody's like, "Shut up," like they're covering their ears. There's kids and they're crying, going, "Make the bad man stop." When I finished that show, and I had to headline after that, and I did okay. Like I brought him back after about 15 minutes on stage. When I went to the office to get my check, they wouldn't even look me in the eye when they gave me the money, and they have yet to call me back.
And I was still living there. So this is 7 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah. And the thing is, Mike, just so anybody watching this or listening to this later on, wherever you can find podcasts, Mike was the kind of guy that would go to auctions where they were selling youth sports equipment, and he would buy every piece of youth sports equipment, and he would go to like poor neighborhoods where they were having softball and baseball games, and he would hand stuff out to kids. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Ford stuff. He would give you the shirt off his back. Mike was one of the kindest souls in the world. He just did not get it. Whenever there was it to be gotten, Mike would fuck it up.
Mike would miss it.
I remember we were doing a show at Laugh. I think I was guesting and he was featuring, and he got there just in time, or maybe I was hosting and he was featuring. He got there just in time because a woman had a flat tire on the road and he stopped to change her tire, even though he was scheduled to be somewhere. And, you know, he wasn't able to call or anything like that. I don't remember why, but he got there like just as the show was starting. He's fucking drenched in sweat. I mean, he was a big dude. He was taller than me and like 300 pounds at least.
Massive.
Yeah. Just another one of just big guys. Think like John Goodman-ish. Maybe not as wide, but you know,
but
anyway,
forearms that have you ever seen like fat pool table legs on a nice proper billiards table? That's what his forearms look like.
Yeah.
Same shape, same hardness. Like the guy was just big, you know.
But yeah, so you know, I like that we got an opportunity to kind of honor him and poke fun at him because he would have loved that too, and he poked fun at us anytime he could get.
Absolutely.
Oh man. So.
And you know he's laughing at all this, you know.
Oh yeah. He said there the only time that he'll groan is when Sean comes up with a pun. But other than that,
my puns are the best.
But yeah. Now you've been, because you know I keep tabs on you on Facebook and stuff. Not only is Sean a comedian, but he's also an author. He's also a college professor. He's also the booker for the Underground Laugh Lounge in Niles, Michigan, a wonderful club. I had the opportunity to feature there in October. Very, very comedian friendly club. You know, this is a club. The upstairs is like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's called The Study. But it's done in like a 1920s speakeasy. And then the downstairs is the comedy club. And what's the capacity? 90, 95, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's 90 right now is where they capped it off.
But yeah, just a wonderful little club. But yeah, so keeping tabs on you, you have been one busy little beaver doing stand up. And so what do you have coming up? Anything? Yeah, I know.
You know,
when he laughs, we know there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing, Bryan. Like, I didn't really think about it, you know. And I will say this, and I know being the booker of the OL has helped, but you know, I've also been doing stand up almost 30 years. So, like, when I come to a stage, I bring heavy game, but you know, I don't leverage my position at the comedy club to get gigs. Okay, because my theory is like, if you don't want to give me a gig, I'm not going to use this booking to get one from you. If you want me there, you want me there. And what I think happened was after the Bahamas and I came back, it was one of those things where, you know, I've just been kind of going through the motions for a few years, especially since like when Mikey died. Right before that, my uncle died a week before him. And then a few months before that, my mom had died. And then a year before that, my dad had died. So we lost a bunch of and then lost Pat's dad. I mean, my God, right, like a year later or something. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. Well, my dad was a year ago, and then my sister was 4 months after that.
Right. Yeah. So it was just like this, like my little circle, and you know, our group of friends were in Brad too. Remember?
Yeah, his daughter-in-law.
Yeah, we were just losing people left and right, and it was all kind of like weighing on me. And I remember when I got back stateside, I was talking to Jen. I said, you know, I'm either going to lean into comedy. I said, I'm going to quit because these half measures and just going out and doing shows here and there. I said, it's not doing anything for me. And I will tell anybody that's listening to this, when you say shit like that, the universe listens. Okay. It listens, because as soon as I said that, the universe said, okay. And I just started getting calls left and right, and one booking turned into 3. And so I'm doing all these shows and not really thinking about it, because I love spreading joy. I love doing stand up. And I was in Columbus, Michigan 4 weeks ago, beginning of March 2nd. And I was opening for Dave Landau, who is brilliant. And I'm sitting there with Cora Karachi, and she's a great comic from Detroit, by the way. and Justin Pettick, another Detroit just killer. And Cora, she looks at me, she goes, or Kara, I'm sorry, Kara Karachi, and she looks at me, she goes, God dang, everywhere I look now, you're there. And I just kind of said, well, what? And then I realized, and so I went home and I Googled myself, and I'll be damned, dude, I just was scrolling. And I was just like, well, shit, I guess I am doing a lot of stuff. I didn't really think about it because it was just, I'm doing my thing. But it's been nice, and I get to do a lot of cool stuff. Last Friday, I did a benefit for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we raised over $2,000, and they got volunteers off of that show. Right?
Oh, cool.
So it's not only
That's awesome.
Yeah, like you get to do stand up and you get to help, and it's really cool.
Exactly.
And mid-April, and I've got gigs in between there, but mid-April on one day on the 19th, myself, Brad Miller, and Otis Boggs, we're going to go to do at the midday. We're doing stand up at a nursing home, and then that night we are going down to Warsaw, Indiana, to do a benefit to raise money to pay off lunch debts for kids.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, I get to do this thing that helps people, and it brings joy, so that, and that's why I figured out my why. I do this because it brings joy.
Yeah. And that's what, like, one of the reasons why, like, it's kind of funny. And I've told this story before, like, someone mentioned something about podcasts on Twitter one time. Like, they needed, like a co-host or whatever, and Pat said, hey, what about me or whatever? So I messaged him.
I was like, yeah, I'm down to get back into it.
I said, hey, are you wanting to do a podcast? Because I've been wanting to do one for a long time. I've been talking about it, and I shit you not, like 2 years. Like, and Pat and I actually met through wrestling, like at a wrestling event, because we're both big fans, and so we'd see each other at all the shows. We became friends, we talked. And so we were like, yeah, okay. So let's sit down at, we went to this guy's deli, and we sat down and we talked. And like everything that I said I wanted to do, he's like,
that was funny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too. Like the whole entire conversation could have lasted 5 minutes, to be honest. Because every idea.
For like, what, 2 hours?
Yeah, we were there for a couple hours, and like every idea he had, I was like, are you reading my mind? Like, so like our whole purpose of this is just, we both have similar views on life. My view is, you just gotta have fun in life. Otherwise, life's gonna eat you up. Like, so you can ask my wife. I'm a big kid, and she's kind of a big kid now too, because of me being a big kid. And like, but Pat can tell you, my hobby outside of everything is kind of like Hot Wheels, right? That's a kid thing. So
that's cool, man.
I mean,
like some of the older ones, or are you a collector, or what's your thing?
I do like some collecting and stuff. And I've recently got into, like, back in November, I started doing like customs. So my problem is I got on this app called Whatnot.
Yeah, I am listening because I might have something to show you.
So if you've ever heard of Whatnot, it's basically like a live selling, like an auction type deal.
Okay.
So I got into Whatnot, and people are selling Hot Wheels, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm in this die-cast community, and it's really cool. Like, everybody's cool in it, and so I'll buy stuff every now and then. But then I found streamers that had customs, and I was like, oh, hey, well, how do you do that? And so I go into different custom shows, and they'd tell me, hey, you do this to do this and all that stuff. So I kind of got into customizing now. So my customs are not PG, shall we say.
You got the
So I may have to go upstairs and grab my first series of customs that I'm doing, because well,
so
actually
you're making your own now?
I am taking the
That's fucking awesome.
I'm taking the actual Hot Wheels cars. I'm drilling out the little rivets that are in them. I take them apart. I put the metal piece in like a paint stripper. Like it's so you know what orange sherbet looks like, right? So when it gets like that melty stuff, that's kind of what this paint stripper looks like. So I'll put it in the paint stripper. I pull it out, take all the stripper off, and it brings it down to like the metal.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I'll take, cans of spray paint. I'll spray paint it. I've got a guy in Phoenix or in Pennsylvania that makes the water slides or the decals. He'll send them to me.
Oh, nice.
So I'll put them on there, put them in some water, stick them on the car, and then I put a clear coat on them to make them stay. And then when I put them back together, I just super glue them back together. But so I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I will tell you that it is inappropriate. And the first car that I made, I had a stream on Whatnot, and I'm not a big streamer on Whatnot, but I had like 20, 25 people in there. I ended up selling it for like $27.
Nice.
I'm like, this is a car that I bought for $1.20 a Target, right? So
because it's got a dick on it.
It does not have a dick on it, but it is a little bit.
The headlights are vaginas.
It is a little bit raunchier than that, though. We will tell you. And then I will go get it here in just a couple of minutes. Just
cool.
So I can show you.
I have a Hot Wheels. I can't find it in here because our office is in a bit of disarray. But the original General Lee, like one of the old classic ones, the paint's a little chipped and everything. And it's not because I love the Dixie flag, and it has nothing to do with it.
No, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. But what I do have right here is you can see the B-Wing fighter. All right, so here's a little bit of my nerdiness. All right, this is the best of all of the ship classes in the Star Wars universe. All right, so there's my little nerdiness.
Sure, that's awesome. But yeah, so quick question: do you have that General Lee? Is it still on the card? Or is it?
No, it's been out, but I love it. Here's the thing. The reason I wanted that one so badly is when I was a little kid, I had two favorite Matchbox. I had a Matchbox and I had a Hot Wheels. And the Matchbox was a little Jeep. I believe that was a Matchbox, and it was yellow with a black top. And I have no idea what happened to that. But on Hill Street at the park in Logan Sport behind the mall, I was playing on a slide and I had the General Lee, and it's like Calvin and Hobbes. That was my Hobbes. I took it everywhere, and dude, I lost it, and it broke my heart. And then I was at a yard sale probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I saw the General Lee car. Yeah, and I got it for like $1 or something crazy.
Yeah. Do you could probably turn around and sell that for about $200 right now?
I
know it's priceless.
Yes,
Trust
sir.
Me, I get it. Trust me, it's priceless. Like I found there was a guy on Whatnot, so they have like the vintage streams, and I remember, like as a kid, I had this yellow 57 or 55 or 57 that I had gotten when I was like 3 years old. And it was yellow, and it had these blue and red decals on it. And I remember it, and I remember having it until I moved out of my parents' house. So it was from 1978, I believe.
Oh, my goodness.
One of the guys on Whatnot won a giveaway, which was that car. And he's like, hey, Bryan, I'm going to send it to you, because he heard my story about it. And so he sent it to me, and I still have it to this day right up behind me.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's from 1978, and I'm like, that's my holy grail right there,
There you go, man. That's cool. I love that.
So you guys chit chat for a second. I'll go grab that custom so I can make you guys laugh.
I am looking forward to seeing this, sir.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah.
You're going to love this. Trust me.
Well, I'm quite sure.
Okay, now he's gone. Finally.
I was going to say, what are we planning?
All right, what a fucking dick. God.
Worst. So how you been, man? It's been a
I've been
few.
doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well. Been working a lot. Started the other show. The Raw Unfiltered Stories. So
Yes.
been
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just chilling out and hanging out. And, yeah, nothing exciting, which is fine. Casey's sick as fuck. That's why I'm in my workshop and not in the bedroom. Yeah, she's got some nasty fucking cough. I had it like a month ago, and it's like every time you cough, it just feels like spider webs because there's so much phlegm.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's gross, and that was the sickest I've ever been in my life. I was like, yeah, if the angel of death comes for me, I'm gonna. If the angel of death goes to the neighbors, I'm gonna be like, hey, buddy.
Catch me on the swing back.
Come on. Agnes is fine. Come on.
Does she like pineapple juice?
Actually, no. I was going to say I bought her grapefruit chunks. That's the same thing. I was.
Yeah, because it's a natural expectorant. So. Okay. All right. Here we go. Folks.
All right. Are we talking about dietary stuff now?
No, I was just talking about how my wife's sick as shit.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not like a hey, do this so your stuff will taste yummy.
So really quick, I'll just show you what it looked like. This is what it looked like before. So this is just the regular Hot Wheels. It's got the little moon eyes, family friendly. Little. It is solid. I do like this a lot, but I've had to.
Are we going to get banned for this?
We possibly could.
Fuck it. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
It really was. So
I say that's fine. It's not even my podcast.
It's fine.
We're gonna take down the whole JG's lounge.
JG's gonna kick our ass later.
Oh no!
I was gonna say, of course, he freezes up on the reveal.
I'm not even gonna say a word. I'm just gonna show it.
Is that a turd?
Yep, that's
Dirty Sanchez.
Okay, so and did you see the yeah?
That's nice.
Okay, but I would like to point out the tires are sublime. That was cool. I noticed
they are.
What do you do? I didn't see that.
There's a different style of tires on it. It's just.
Oh, okay. Nice.
These are different than these here, which I've done before on others. So I did make 3 of those. Actually, I made 4 of them. 1 I'm keeping and 3 that I'm selling. I've already sold 2, and both of those, I think I've made almost $60 off 2 of them.
Wow.
The third guy that wants one lives in Florida, and his name is Ed. And anyone on Whatnot in the diecast community knows Ed. Ed will buy everything. He makes so much money, it's ridiculous. He makes like $300,000 a year or something like that. But he contacted me and said, "Hey, I want that last one. Don't sell it." So we're gonna see what King Ed said. But just really quick, I'll show you one more that I redid. Yeah. That is family friendly. So this is what the original looked like. It's a Godzilla. It's a Skyline. For some reason, everybody likes Skylines now.
Does it go?
It's pretty cool. I think it does. But so I did this with the Skyline.
Oh, that's sharp.
So yeah, that's actually I didn't paint this or anything. I did it the cheap way. I took it apart. I put the different wheels on it from a different car, and
excuse me, that's pretty cool, man.
So that one was actually a lot of fun to do. All I did, it took me less than 5 minutes. I got some water that was just starting to boil, put the car in the water, and then dropped some RIT dye in there. Dye.
Okay.
Unfortunately, all I had was purple. So.
That fucking worked well.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, dude.
So,
of all the hobbies that a person could have, I commend you because, I mean, some people, they collect stamps. Some people, do custom Hot Wheels. Some people like P. Diddy do other things. And you are You're doing helpful things.
You know,
You
I
are.
just that the Dirty Sanchez just kind of shows you my comedic side. You know, that's
Mhm.
I like to have
Okay.
fun. I like to have fun in life. You know.
Yeah. Well, other people are digging it,
Oh.
man. So
Yeah, I'm
that's.
hoping so.
Do you? I mean, now what do you do? Do you sit there and plan stuff out and kind of sketch it out, or what's your?
Not really. I kind of get a plan in my head, and so I've got a program now that I'm going to print off the water slides for it, and
Mhm.
we'll see how that works. I've got to get the paper for the water slides first, but
Okay.
oh, trust me, I've got a list of inappropriate customs about 12, 15 deep. So
I'm just
there's
picturing a Woody station wagon, but instead of the surfboards on top, a fleshlight.
no yeah see but the way I'm trying to do the rest of these, I want to make sure that I don't get kicked off of whatnot first off. So it has to be something, you know, that
We could still do the
Subtle.
fleshlight.
that
Just
if you
tell us
look
the
at it,
Demogorgon.
yeah, like if you look at it, you get it, right? So like you got stuff like the pink taco you could do, you know, do like a taco truck with a pink taco on the side, you know, people
There
get
you
that
go.
The
stuff.
bearded clam.
Yes.
Yes. You are the only other person I've talked to that has said that, Pat. You know why?
Because
Because we're on the same wavelength.
oh, okay. I was like, because
You
I'm
know.
stupid. I don't.
Well, I'm stupid too, so I mean, it fits. But
Okay,
yeah, like
so
yeah, just fun stuff there, you know.
Cool, man.
since we're showing off projects, and I'm in my workshop right now.
Workshop Pat.
This is a planter I made.
Yes.
There we go. There.
Oh,
That's a
planter.
planter. Huh?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
damn good.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
You put your
That is nice.
you put your plants in it.
I'm
thought
gonna
you
have to
said
hit you up. I
planner.
need
No, a planter.
Yeah,
It's a
no, I
planter
know that
box.
now. But I just
Oh.
I thought you said planner. Like,
Oh,
I'm going
like
to do
a
this.
day planner?
Yeah, a day planner. I was like, that's very wonky.
big. Yeah.
That fucker, when I bought the wood for that, I found out what board feet meant when I went to pay for it. And yeah, so that's going to stay in the family for hundreds of years.
Until inflation goes down.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Who knows?
no kidding. Shit, what other questions do we have? I know a bunch of them are wrestling centric. Some like, asking you who designed your gear is
Let's say
Wait, we
throughout the
don't.
years, it was either Asics or Cliff Keen.
or your stand-up gear, you're like Under Armour.
Yeah.
Wait, when
Look.
have we asked that question?
I asked Corey Castle that.
Ah, yes, you did.
I got to tell you this, Sean. So we had Corey Castle on, and Bryan did the introduction for that, and he introduced him as Corey Clash, who is a local wrestler.
No, I
It's
have a
over-
friend. I have a friend in St. Louis on Twitter goes by Corey Clash.
Yeah,
I had interacted with him a lot that day, and then we have Corey.
he was kind about it. He was like, it's Castle. But
He was
when I asked him about the gear, and he was we were talking about it, I was just like, so you should do this and get like long pants, and on the back and just say Clash. And
he did run with it. He did run with it.
He was great. He was great.
Nice when they can. So look, guys, I take no umbrage with professional wrestling. I used to, okay, because I wrestled in high school. I coached for 20 years. I just saw it as a disgrace to the combat art that I had put so much into. But I think over the years, and I did get to see I was at Olympic training camp and I got to see Doink the Clown go against the Undertaker, and a couple other really cool matches. And I learned a lot about professional wrestling and how they film things too. The behind the scenes is kind of neat. But meeting Pat and others and seeing just the absolute joy that came from loving that form of entertainment, and then seeing what those guys actually go through and what they put their bodies through. I gained a definite level of respect for the art form and what they do. So I went from a hater, and I was admittedly an absolute.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, right. But now it's different. I've definitely softened over the years, and Diamond Dallas Page, what he's done with DDP Yoga. He's helped so many people, Jake, you know what I mean? Like all those guys, like his buddies. Like he brought Jake the Snake back from
the
edge
dead.
of oblivion.
Yeah, that's my all-time favorite. Quick plug here. I just recently posted an episode of Pat's Unfiltered or Raw Unfiltered Stories, and this episode is about me meeting Josh Alexander from TNA Wrestling, and the night I got to work with, or the 2 nights I got to work with Jake the Snake Roberts. So you can check that out on JG's Lounge. Okay.
And the thing is, man, I remember when Pat got to open for Jake and seeing my friend have that much just unbridled joy from working with a dude.
I was a toddler on crack.
Yeah, seriously. And the guy was so cool to him too.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you learn about these guys, and I'm sure there are jerks out there, but so far, any of the ones that have stepped into the comedy world, every single one of them to a wrestler, it has, from every meeting that I've heard of, they've been just nothing but kind, considerate, fun, nice, full of cool stories, from, Pat's interaction with Jake that night. And I heard from other people that were at the thing too. They just said he was the best,
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was 2016, so that was not long after the Resurrection came out. It was still fresh on pretty much everybody's mind. And and Bryan could attest. We've met so many just going to indie shows, because you'll get the national names and stuff that come down to indie shows and stuff. And Bryan can attest. We've met so many of them and people are like, "Oh, it's fan service. They're just doing this." But I'm old enough that you can tell when somebody's just being nice, and then when other people are like happy to meet their fans. Like Chris Bay, he's a guy in Impact Wrestling. Oh my God, that dude is such a sweetheart. Heidi Howitzer and Max the Impaler, they are, and Leon Ravage, all of the Wasteland Warriors are, these are people that you would see on Mad Max. They would be riding around with Emotus Joe or Emotin Joe and stuff. And, they're sweethearts, outside of the ring.
They love talking to people, I mean, like Saturday is the CSW show. I'm going to see a guy named Dak Draper. Well,
I love Dak.
Dak, he actually wrestled for NXT, which is like, we'll say it's kind of like the minor leagues for baseball.
For WWE.
For WWE. Well, he worked with them. And one of the nicest guys. He will stick around until the last fan is gone in the venue just to talk to him. So, I mean, it's very personable, and it's very rare that you meet a wrestler that doesn't appreciate people coming out to see them.
Well, even the heels, though, because like Pat, I got one of our, so a lady that I used to work with, a sweetheart of a gal, she is friends with, what's his name?
Nikita Koloff.
Koloff, thank you. And she just buddies with him, right? And she comes back from hanging out with him one day and gives me an autographed book. And it had this really nice message in it. And and the guy just did it because she told him that as far as wrestling went, my fandom basically started and stopped from the 1980s with the Junkyard Dog and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and and Hacksaw's my favorite. But there was that one moment in time where I was a fan, and the cartoon was huge, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So she gets me this autographed book, and then that degree of separation turned into like you had him on the podcast, right?
Yeah, we had Murray and I, or Luch at the time, but had him on Sideways in Time, and he's such a sweetheart. Oh man, and it was fun because we got to BS with him before the show, and we got to BS with him after we were done recording, and it just such a sweetheart of a guy. That was awesome.
I listened to that podcast. That was one of my favorites you guys did.
Yeah. Not to plug another network, but yeah. If you guys like wrestling, check out Murray Man, who he had on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He and I, Sideways in Time. It's on Spotify. I think it was episode 6. We only did like maybe 13 or 14 episodes, but I think it was 6 that we did Nikita Koloff. That was really cool, and it's funny too because, well, I want to tell my Dak story real quick. So, Casey and I, my wife, we go to, and this was right after, I think right after Journey Pro's last show here. It might have been a CSW show, but we had just seen Dak recently, and there was an AEW show in Kansas City. Or Independence. So we go walking in, and my wife looks over, and there's Dak Draper. He's hanging out. I mean, he's not one of the AEW wrestlers, but he's friends with the guys. And so, he's just hanging out with somebody and just BSing with it. And she sees him, and she was like, for a split second, she was like, should I nudge him and let him know? She's like, nah, I want to see what happens. And I just look over and I go, Dak. And he goes, hey man, what's up? And obviously, he recognized me because I don't fucking blend in. Shake his hand, I BS with him and stuff. But yeah, he's one of the nicest guys, and good looking dude too. I don't know why this dude isn't like the face of some company. He's like 6'5", 6'6", like 260, just raw muscle, and a good looking dude, and he can wrestle too. I'm like, what? I don't get it. But what I was gonna get to is, like, we're talking about all these wrestlers being like really cool guys and stuff. Sean knows this, and I've experienced it too to some degree, but I know Sean knows this, where you'll have a comic on stage who is like so friendly and personable, blah, blah, blah. As soon as they get off stage, you're like, hey buddy, they're like, fuck you. You're like, what?
Yep. We had a comic, and I'm not gonna name names, but at my club, who got off stage, and I had asked this person to one of our radio sponsors, the head of that station was at the show. I said, hey, this person is such a fan of yours. Can you stop and take a picture with her real quick? She literally turned and went like, ah, and yelled at her. And the radio manager looked up at me like, what the hell? And I just kind of did one of these, and she was like, come on, real quick, and got the picture, and then she bolted out of the room. And I'm like, dude, that's your fan.
Yeah.
You take care of them. They give you the fame. They pay money to see you. Do you realize what money is? Money isn't money. It is a piece of paper that represents time in your life that you exchange to get it, that you'll never get back.
Mm-hmm.
It's so valuable in that sense. And when you do something like that, turn your nose up at your fans and people like that, you are basically saying that chunk of your life means nothing. So if you have a fan that comes up to you and is like, hey, I enjoyed your show, they see you and they're like, man, I love your Two Old Goats podcast, you're going to be like, fuck yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You want to take a picture? Yeah, boom. You give them a picture. You don't do that to people.
Yeah, unless that's your personality on stage. If that's your part where you're, if you're still in character, I could see that. Just coming off stage, still in character, being silly and stuff. But
until they go.
But in this case, it didn't sound like that. I don't know who this comic was, but yeah, they're just like, I don't know, the unwashed masses.
Yeah, it was gross. But I will tell you, and this is speaking of your friend Dak. I got the chance to meet Dan Severns, and I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he was
Mhm.
one of the original UFC guys, and
Mhm.
he was one of the best wrestlers in the world. Olympic level and everything. And my backstory is I was one of the top Greco-Roman wrestlers in the country back in the 1990s, early 2000s. And he would have been one of the guys that if I had really pushed it and tried to advance doing that instead of the stand up and really concentrate on the wrestling and the coaching, you think, oh, perhaps I will wrestle somebody like this. When I met Dan Severns, all right, and I can see why he beat the shit out of people in the UFC, I literally looked up at him like this, and when he shook my hand, it wrapped around my hand 300 times because it was so fucking big. And I saw that and I go, this is the difference between somebody who's super good in college as like football meeting somebody in the NFL that is a star. Like you just realize like shit, I'm not at that level. I'm just not.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh
And I
yeah.
realized that when I met Dan that day. But you know what the cool thing about him was? All he wanted to talk about is how his son had just gotten to state in wrestling. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, dude, we spent like 10 minutes talking about that. And I was like, really? I coach wrestling. Yeah. Well, my son, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, it was the coolest thing. Like we connected on something that had
That's
nothing to do with
awesome.
UFC or anything else. And he was just a sweetheart of a guy. Could fucking murder you in a heartbeat. Nice.
Yeah,
Oh
we,
yeah.
we we have a friend who went to his wrestling school who
Murray.
has a different view of him. He body slammed him a bunch of times and fucked his back up.
Oh
This is
no.
this is 15 years ago, and his back is still fucked up.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's sad.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so you
And that,
you you can't pigeonhole anybody. There are many sides to people. But also, that's one of the things that we like doing on the podcast. We were talking about questions we wanted to ask. And if you notice, we never
Yeah.
asked you, why'd you get into stand up? Why'd you this? Why'd you that? Because everybody fucking gets asked that
We
question.
don't
Who
do
the
that
fuck are
shit.
Yeah. You know, we don't ask wrestlers, why'd you get into wrestling and stuff? You've been asked that so many times that you have blah, blah, blah. I know your answer. It's the same as mine. I could give it. Bill Cosby himself. Boom, right there. Um, but yeah, we don't want to.
yeah, he drugged me and raped me. Okay.
And
I
said you're
just
going to
I was
do
able,
comedy from now on.
actually, well, that's one of the reasons, but actually one of the other reasons I got into stand up was revenge. 100% true, man. I
Yeah.
was relentlessly bullied when I was in school, and when I got out and got into stand up, aside from some of the other reasons, one of the big ones was I was going to show everybody because I was so bullied and always told that I was going to be worthless that my vision was I'm going to be on TV someday and y'all are going to be stuck in a factory working and fuck you. And back in 2015, I did a show at the State Theater in Logansport, Indiana. Pat was there.
Oh God, that was a killer show.
Crusher night. We had like 200 people in the audience, which the State Theater is 10 minutes from where I grew up. So all my family, all the kids I went to school with, everybody was there. And not only did I just destroy the place for like 45 minutes, Pat crushed it for like 30. Mike went up and did 20, just obliterated. Brat went up and obliterated. A guy with his name Joe went up and had a set. But outside
I
of
was
that,
wondering, are you going to put that?
Go have a set.
he had a rough night. But
Brandy went up there and crushed it.
oh yes, she did. She absolutely. Brandy Kaiser, brilliant, brilliant young comic. But the thing was, after the show, I was standing outside with Mike, and the church bell rung. It was 11 o'clock, and it rang 11 times. And I remember that moment specifically because a buddy of ours, Otto, who was always fascinated with 1111, the cosmic number and all that shit. And it rang 11 times at 11. And Mike and I looked at each other and were like, hey, it's Otto, speaking to us. And I almost collapsed on the ground, getting ready to cry because I had just gone up and killed in front of all those people that I was going to rub it in their face. And I did it, and I had no direction, man. Like I didn't know why I was doing stand-up anymore, and I had accomplished nothing. Like, what did I win? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very long night. And thank God Mike and the guys were around me, because I did not do well after a night I should have been celebrating. But it's one of those things. It's like, why Pat got into it, why I got into it, doesn't matter. I know why I'm in it now. And it's to spread joy. It is to take some of the weight off the people in this world that is so weary with hatred and anger and everything else,
And differences. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, if you don't fit into my little box, then you are evil. You are and it's like, really, guys, you're missing out on so much by just focusing right here. You're missing out on everything out here. Yeah, and it's just it's a waste of time. I'm not saying you got to agree with everything. I'm not saying you got to like it, but man, just don't close your mind off to everything and hate anybody that is different than you. Yeah, it's not worth it.
I'm still trying to get over my hatred of people that customize Hot Wheels. Those motherfuckers.
Well, besides that, fuck them guys.
Yeah, they're fucking idiots.
Oh shit.
So how's the podcast, honey? I got to see Dirty Sanchez.
No, well, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up, because it's later where you are, and I know that you are a busy man. Let me get a pen and a piece of paper, or pencil and a piece of paper.
Yeah, well, the song that I'm gonna give you is, like I said, it's in honor of Mike Barnett, and this was a song that I had no idea existed, and it was a song that Prince, I believe, wrote about a friend that had passed away, and we were listening to this song it was either when we went out to Youngstown in Ohio to do that show.
No, because I was with you guys. It was when we went to Kendallville, I think.
Kendall. Oh yeah, where the
VA show.
That dumbass guy, yeah. But it was so beautiful, and the thing was, when Mikey passed, and I heard the song again, I probably cried for about an hour, because I understood what it meant at that point. And it was a song by Prince. I believe the title, Sometimes It Snows in April.
Snows in April.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's one of those ones, if you have ever lost anybody and you sit there and think about it for half a second while that song is playing, if it doesn't tear your guts out, I don't know. But it's good.
Okay, Bryan, what do you got?
Well, I'm also, unfortunately, I've been thinking about this since we scheduled this podcast, that mine is also a sad reason. The passing, I'm a huge fan. Also, I am a drummer. Taylor Hawkins. It has been 2 years since he passed away.
Yes,
yesterday.
Already.
And I'm, like I said, I've played drums, not in bands and all that stuff. I've played in a couple, but since I was like 3, so I love the drums. Love Taylor Hawkins. Love Dave Grohl. I'm gonna say Monkey Wrench by the Foo Fighters.
Good one.
Number 1, because that's the first album he was on, the second album, and that's one that he just pounds, man. It's so good.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I love about Taylor Hawkins? Why he, next to Neil Peart, is one of my favorite drummers of all time. If you watch his face whenever was playing with the Foo Fighters, man, you talk about unbridled, just absolute, just, I am so fucking happy at what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, and it was like that every concert, even when he was singing. Like, Dave would jump on the drum set and he'd sing like a Queen song, and he's just smiling the whole time, I mean, he just loved life.
It was beautiful, man. I loved it. I loved it. And when his son played with him, tell me you didn't tear up, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gallons of tears.
Yeah.
I know. Speaking of drummers, when we saw The Cure last summer a bunch of times, now Jason, the drummer for The Cure, he is all business. I mean, he's just in there, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, like every show we went to, I recorded the opening of Burn and put it on Facebook because that is one of my favorite Cure songs. But yeah, the opening, and he's just, just focused. But their opening band, Twilight Sad, who they're post-punk kind of like artistic. Their lyrics are not literal at all. They're very just artistic and stuff. But yeah, they're a Scottish band. Sean, you should check them out because he sings with such a strong Scottish accent.
Cool.
But you sit there and they're all just kind of like moody and stuff, little shoegazy in there, and then there's the drummer.
Love that. Love that.
Just
bundles of joy. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is so awesome.
That makes me think. Have you guys ever seen that TikTok video of it's oh god, it's like,
is it the big anime thing
where he's dressed up like a plushie on the drum?
Yeah, every time I have that. Yeah. I have that same that video every time it comes up in my memories. I post it because it is just so much fun.
That's so awesome.
That's cool, man.
Okay, so my song, I'm writing it down. Yeah. My song I'm picking, it's by Proto Martyr. Song called Pontiac 87. The reason I'm picking the song, and I actually had talked with Sean about this. So what was it, like a few weeks ago? And I was talking to him about how stand-up really isn't fun for me anymore. So I did the universe thing, and I remember driving around, and I was like, I'm just going to throw it out to the universe. Part of the reason I want to do that too is because I want to get into longer form. I want to be doing stories. That's part of the reason why I started the podcast. You only get 3 to 5 minutes at an open mic. I can't tell a story in 3 to 5 minutes. So part of that was another reason why I started the Raw Unfiltered Stories. But I remember I threw it out into the universe. I was just like, okay, if I'm meant to do stand-up, I'll do stand-up. If I'm not meant to do stand-up, I got to feature at a club, which is something I always want to do. Got to do that in October. And, I got to open for Donnie Baker in front of 700 people and got a standing ovation for a 25-minute set. So if those are my high points, not a bad note to go out on. But anyway, so I threw it out to the universe. It's like, if you want me to do it, if I'm supposed to be doing stand-up, I'll do stand-up. If I'm not supposed to do stand-up, I won't do stand-up. It's fine, whatever. If something comes my way, cool. And I started to feel depressed a little bit. I was like kind of bummed, like almost like a breakup. I'm sort of like accepting a breakup. And then there's a lyric in this song that goes, there's no use being sad about it. What's the point of crying about it? And he repeats it like 10 times. There's no use being sad about it. What's the point of crying about it? And I'm like, you're fucking right. What is the point? There is no point to be sad about it. And then I started laughing. So that is why I'm picking that song.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. This isn't a call to like a plea for hoping. I mean, I got a bunch of feelers out there. If something happens, it happens. If not, oh well, I had a good run. But yeah, other than that, we're going to be wrapping it up. Check out Sean's other shows on JG's Lounge. He has the Sean Shank Redemption, where he interviews comics and stuff. Are you still doing the club comics?
Yes, I'll tell you what, I'm still doing. As a matter of fact, this Saturday I'll probably have like Jerry Goebel, Rhett Castile, Chelsea Snedden, and a couple others. It's going to be.
We had Rhett on our last show.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Good cat. So I'm still doing that, but I just had Natalie Kramer. As a matter of fact, Natalie King is her stage name. brilliant singer,
Yeah.
artist, polyglot, speaks multiple languages, just a sweetheart of a person. She has music that's been on like Law and Order and the Fosters and TV commercials and voiceover. She does everything, right? So I'm still doing that, but the one that is in and thank you for the content that we had tonight, because I've been going down a rabbit hole with what I consider a terrorist attack today on that bridge out in Baltimore. I have a conspiracy theory podcast called Blurred Lines, and we talk about stuff like we did Mandela Effect last week. Bryan, are you familiar with the Mandela Effect?
Yes.
Okay, so you've heard about stuff. Okay, so that
Sure.
I picked a list of like 20 of them, and I had Elise Davis. If you guys haven't had her, she's a blast. And we just went through every single one of them. It was very interesting to go down the list, because there were some where she was just like, you know what, that has no impact on me. But there were some that we would hit where she was just like, I will fist fight a nun that this actually was the thing, you know. And so it was really interesting seeing her perspective on those things. And I've done quite a few of those. And I'm going to do one next week on, we did the moon landing already. And
what's the consensus?
Hey,
I mean, we have to know.
I'm not opening that Pantera's box. Just
the Pantera's box, a vulgar display of we didn't land on the moon.
Don, message me later. We can talk about it.
Oh, not you too.
I don't know. I'm just having fun, man. It's life.
Really, Pat? Show me the blast crater where they landed.
Jesus Christ.
And okay, how about this? Sometimes when I'm down in the comedy club, I can't reach my wife on my cell phone, but somehow the most important call in the history of humanity, from the moon to Richard Nixon in the White House on a landline, happened, where he's like, well, this is the most important call in the history of humanity. Really? And who connected that up? AT&T? Is that right? Please.
AT-ET.
That's it. Okay, 1 minute 17. That's the clip. I'm writing that down. I'm gonna say 1 hour 17 minutes.
I'm telling you, man, get me started on crypt. Dude,
no, I don't want to get. I don't want to get.
Little tiny thing. There is a cryptid in Tennessee, which makes it funny already, called the Knot Deer. And it is a deer that is on fire that shows up in the woods, and they named it. And I go, well, that's not a deer. Sorry.
The knot deer.
The knot deer.
But it is a deer.
You and I really need to keep in touch, Sean. Because
Oh,
this is funny and good.
I'll tell you what. What I will do is we will flip flop this. Next time I have a Blurred Lines, I will have you two on.
Please, I would love it.
I will pick a conspiracy theory that we can go over. Now the thing is, like, you know, we did mud floods, and I don't know if you guys ever heard about that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's after Taco Bell.
Yes, that's actually the diarrhea conspiracy. Or as Brent Terhune says, pizzeria, which sounds like a really bad night after some pizza. But yeah, I'll have you guys on Blurred Lines, and we will talk some conspiracy theory, and I'll pick a particularly juicy one for us to go over.
Please do. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, for me at least.
Yeah. That's one spot where Sean and I are there's a lot of things we agree on. So
we've done tons of stuff. It's just my question is, do you believe your government is telling the truth to you all the time?
I don't believe the government is telling the truth at all anymore.
Then what are we disagreeing about?
Well, that was 60 years ago. That was a different government, different people, different things have happened.
Ugh.
Nowadays, I don't believe shit the government says.
Well, would it help you to know that the Pentagon has a film budget that they use to influence the propaganda in Hollywood, and this is actually proven? Yeah. You know what? One of the movies that they had influence on, Iron Man.
That's kind of common knowledge, because if you look at all the movies, how they're gung ho, rah rah, army, Marines and shit. Dude, yeah, Full Metal Jacket. We Were Soldiers. Yeah, those are recruitment videos.
Speaking of American pro stuff,
oh,
yeah, that's my pop socket,
Iron
buddy.
Man.
Nice.
Excellent. We like Iron Man.
Nice. There's my army hat.
Nice.
I don't have one.
My American shirt.
I don't have one because them bastards wouldn't let me in.
Nah, you didn't miss much. I just have knee pains and nightmares.
At 17 years old, my pancreas decided not to work and not to produce insulin anymore. So I've been an insulin dependent diabetic since January 1st of '93. So
yeah.
No, I'm good, man.
I know. Yeah, I've seen you take your insulin, but
yeah, take my insulin. I'm good.
Right too, buddy. So
it's like second nature anymore,
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy, but no, trust me. I tried until I was 35 to get into the military because I wanted to. It's not like I went into all the recruitment offices. The last one I had was the Navy when I was 18.
As somebody who had been there and done that, yeah.
The Navy told me, I pretty much was ready to go in. And as I was leaving the office, he said, "Oh, wait, there's one last question I forgot to ask you. Are you a diabetic?"
Oh.
I looked at him and froze for 2 seconds. And he's like, "Oh, that's what I thought." He's like, "You are, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." And I'm not going to lie to the government. I'm 18 years old. At that point, I was just like, yeah, I am. So
that sucks.
I got on the blacklist, but my buddy who had a lazy eye got into the Army, and yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Recruit him, you can see around corners.
Yeah, that idiot. I don't even want to talk about him, but yeah. But yeah,
I got
downrange.
We really appreciate having you on, Sean.
Thank you so much, guys. It was a blast. I had fun.
Oh yeah. I always love these shows because it's just wherever the fuck it goes. But also, yeah, if you enjoyed this, check out we got a back catalog of shows, all comedians, wrestlers, and also check out the other shows on JG's Lounge. You got Evolution, you got Beisha stuff, you got Jesse's stuff, JG's stuff. Sean and I did a show with Evolution and Jukebox with the Singed Eye Socket.
Yeah,
that was a fucking blast.
That was a good time.
But yeah. So yeah, check out other stuff. We'll be back. We got some.
We got stuff coming up.
Because our guest canceled tonight, we put out a whole bunch of feelers. Sean just happened to be the first that got back to us. So we actually have a nice list of people that will be coming on over the next few weeks.
We do now.
So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. And oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Bryan.
I was going to say, I've got at least 4 or 5 that were like, yeah, man, I can do it later on. Not tonight, but later on.
So yeah, we're
some
good.
Fun, yes, definitely fun.
And
I don't know if they're going to be as fun as Sean, but we're going to try.
Well, thank you.
I mean, the bar is not high.
Hey, I've got a Winking Jeep keychain, everybody.
Woo!
Yes.
What does the back say?
It says WJAcomedy.com, WinkingJeepArmy.com.
Ah, is that you?
Yep, that's my brand.
Nice, very cool.
Please check it out.
So yeah, we do, in full professional manner, we just leave the show and then I text Jukebox and he ends the broadcast. So, we just sign off and everybody just leaves. There's no official goodbye or anything. So, yeah, y'all take care until next time. I'm Pat, that's Bryan, this was Sean, and this was Two Old Goats. Bye.
I appreciate you, Sean. Thank you.
It was